discuss
So,
about that. Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
uh, just a point, like Nimit, your voice, I mean, your earphone is earphone. That's good. You muted yourself. No, never mind. Continue.
Okay. By the way, I am live. Just let me know if my video is visible.
Yeah.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, Bhaiya, it's available.
Okay, I think okay. So this is also recording. All right. So like without wasting any further time, I'll quickly give an introduction to the Aiden project and what is the story behind it. So Aiden was a project that me, Sanskar, and Ankit. So you must have already interacted with Sanskar and Ankit, who are also the admins and are also leading the project at Mexili. So we had participated in a hackathon by the name of Hack VSIT, where we had developed this physiotherapy assistant, and this was back in January 2020. So the idea behind the project is to create like a virtual assistant for you, a virtual physiotherapy assistant that can help you in your exercises that you take, and it will sort of guide you in case the exercise that you're coming up with is like, let's say it's wrong. If you're like making a wrong posture, it will be telling you to correct your posture, and then you'll be having, let's say, a set of 3 to 4 different exercises. After you have successfully completed one exercise, you'll be moving to the next exercise, and that is how you'll be moving from one exercise to the other, and you'll be getting like some kind of a score. So the idea was, to be able to gamify the ability for getting the right kind of exercise, and in case you make some kind of a wrong posture, because again, at that point of time everyone was staying at home, and we could not go outside because of the lockdown. And again, this actually this happened before the lockdown even took place. So our idea behind the reasoning behind making this was that for a lot of the millennial people who are having their jobs, they're working for 12, 14 hours a day. So sitting in front of the computer with their back bent, they might develop cervical problems, so they don't even have a time to actually go to a physiotherapist. So why not, at the comfort of their home, have a virtual physiotherapy assistant? So the tech stack is pretty simple. At its core, we are just using basic HTML, CSS, and we are using a technology by the name of TensorFlow JS. So I'll quickly just also show you TensorFlow JS. So it's like an open source machine learning library that has been built specifically for JavaScript and for web. Normally, machine learning does require a certain amount of experience with Python, with mathematics, right? So, like machine learning in itself is a really huge uh, concept in computer science. But with the help of TensorFlow JS, it enables you to sort of utilize machine learning models in your projects, even if you're not well aware of machine learning in general. So, and there are 3 different ways in which we can include. So one is that we have some of the pre-built models that we can directly import in our web project. These pre-built models can be found over here in this model section, right? So these are like, some of the pre-built models. For example, things like image classification, what is the type of image, what is the object, right? So these are like different like models that have been pre-built, and you don't need to write any line of code for any of these, right? And then we have something called like the transfer learning. So basically what happens is that these are again pre-built models, but they train over your data. Now, for those people who might not be aware of machine learning, I'll quickly just show you the machine learning pipeline to give you like sort of a feedback. Machine learning pipeline. So for those people who might not be aware of the machine learning pipeline, basically what happens is that, whenever we have any kind of a machine learning project, we always have some kind of a data, and then we train our data on the model, or basically the model is given the input data so that it can train itself upon it. And what do I mean by training is that the machine learning model, because we know, right, machine learning, what it means is that ability for the machine to find out patterns from your data and make some kind of predictions. For example, in this physiotherapy one, the machine learning is what its main task is, to be able to identify the kind of pose that you're making or the exercise that you're doing, and then tell you, okay, identify whether you're making some kind of an error, like let's say your back is too bent or your knees are too bent, to be able to identify those things. So we train the model and then we validate the model. So once the model has been trained, we test, we basically find out the predictions based on that model. So there is also this concept of transfer learning, and that is the one that we are utilizing in our system. So basically we have used something called the teachable machine. I'll give you a very small demo on how teachable machine works. So and basically we utilized the one that has the pose, because as I said that we are looking at the pose of a person. But I'll just sort of give you a very short demo on what exactly is, like, the pose in it. So or this teachable machine. For example, let's say I have two different images. One could be my phone, and let's say the other one will be like a mouse. And I open the webcam, right? And I open the webcam and I click some pictures. So let's say this is my uh, right, my phone. And let's say I uh, close this now, right? I have taken some pictures of my phone, and the next one that I'll be taking is of the mouse, right? So let's take some pictures of the mouse, and then I think that's good to go. And then what you can see over here is train your model. So basically now there's a pre-built model that has been provided by Google. We are not writing any code, and now what it is doing is that it is taking into this data, right? This image data, and we are basically creating a classification algorithm. Classification means that it either will belong to a phone or it will belong to a mouse. So once the training completes, either the image, like whatever new image that we want to test, it will belong to either a phone category or a mouse category. If it does not belong to any one of them, then it will just show that it does not belong to any one of them. So right now, as you can see that this model has been trained and already it's completed. So for example, now let's say if I bring like my mouse and see, as you can see, right, it shows output as 100% mouse. So it is detecting the mouse correctly. And now let's say if I bring my phone, as you can see that it shows almost 90%, 100% that yes, this is a phone. So this is how like the machine learning algorithms work, right? So this is the basic principle. And what we have used in our project is this teachable machine specifically for the pose one. You can basically, as you can see from this diagram, that it like how the pose library works is that it maps out each one of your body points, body joints, right? And if you make certain kind of action, let's say if you're bending, it will be able to sort of get that into the picture. We'll be talking about the pose library a bit more, but this is essentially what we are having. And I have also sort of a short demo of our project. So the project actually got sponsored, or like got featured on the official TensorFlow channel of YouTube, on YouTube. So if you can see, like it actually got featured on the official TensorFlow channel on YouTube. So this is like, this is the same project that you'll be actually contributing to. So that is the amount of coverage that this project has received. And after like the pandemic started, they were like at almost each and every different hackathon, people were making some or the other kind of this project, because it grew a lot in popularity, being able to exercise at home, that kind of an idea, which was before the pandemic even started. So I mean, that is how it started. So I'll quickly just play the video to actually show you how does the platform actually work. So like I'll quickly jump to that specific one. Okay, so this is where like this is how the video, like the project that you'll see on the live GitHub as well, what it looks like. So this is like our landing page. And then what it takes is that, since it will be requiring your camera access, because it will be looking at your camera footage. So it will first of all access your camera, and this is what might have creeped you out a little. So basically this is like your assistant that will speak. So we call this Aiden, and this speaks out, actually speaks out that, for example, as if your knees are too bent, it will speak out your knees are too bent. So this is like this very simple UI, generic UI. So we click on enable the camera, and then we click on start to basically start the exercises, as you can see over there on this corner, or the top left corner. So once you get started, it will take like a minute to load. So as you can see that this is me, and in my bedroom. And as you can see, like, we are basically having this pose, right? You're able to see how it is making this pose. And the first exercise that we have is the back bend, and it is telling me, like, for example, it's if my knees are too bent, or if I'm making like a correct bend. And let's say if it says that, okay, I'm not leaning too much, right? So it will tell you in that way. And once you actually make like a correct posture, then if you are, like, having the correct posture, for example, now I'm having like a correct posture, and it is giving me that uh, validation that yes, like, your posture is correct, right? So if your posture is correct for 10 seconds, it will then move to the next exercise. So as you can see from the UI that when you start your camera, it will start with this back bend exercise, right? And you will come into the camera access, right? You'll come into the footage, it will start making the pose. As you can see, like, this is the knee point, this is my back joints, this is my face getting detected. And if you are making some kind of an error, right, so for example this one, it will show you that, okay, what is the exact error that you are making. And this assistant will actually speak out like what is the error that you are making. For example, let's say this is the next exercise, which is lunge rotate. So as you can see, right, it speaks out. So basically, it will give you an idea on how, right, how it is giving, like, what exact error that you're making. For example, as you can see, right, here is Sanskar who is making a correct bend. So it is able to correctly detect that, and once that is complete, then it moves to the next exercise, right? So this is basically the premise of how it actually works. And again, like, if you want, you can also watch this video. I'll be linking this video as well, for all of you, for your reference. So so far, like, does anyone have any questions? Again, feel free to ask.
I just had one. Like, you guys train your model using Teachable, or was
Yes.
it like, yes, okay, Teachable.
Yeah, so this teachable machine that I just spoke about, basically, if I like show you the PoseNet model, right, we can add different types of poses, right? So we had like two different poses that we started off with, and like, yeah, this is like going to be an additional one, that we can also add more number of poses. Now we'll be talking about, after you have created a pose, how are you looking at, the mathematics side of it. I'll be coming to that in a bit, but essentially this was the model that we were using, like this PoseNet model.
Okay. So what web stack have you used for like on the
Yeah.
website side, the client side?
Yeah, so it's essentially basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? We didn't use things like React, but if you're interested, we want to anyways go ahead and refactor the code base. So if anyone is interested in probably working on TypeScript, React, we can even look at that into consideration, to go forward and, utilize, let's say, JSX and React to build the entire project from scratch. Even if that is a requirement, we are uh, feel free to come up and, probably start contributing in that aspect as well. But yeah, I mean, this is what is the project all about. I'll also go you make you go through the GitHub repo. So I had also prepared like yeah. So before we talk about like any other further things, I'll quickly just go through the project demonstration. So there are certain things like the speech recognition and the Azure TTS, right? So we had also added a lot of different cloud features, basically ability to also start the exercises via voice recognition. So if you said start, that will actually start the project, right? So I'm not sure if it is working right now because like the Azure credentials, they got expired, but we can probably look at some of the alternate resources. So we also had like a speech recognition, and since like the bot itself, it speaks out like what are you doing, whether you're doing the activity correctly or not, or whether you're having some kind of a mistake that you're making. It actually speaks out that. And again, that was mainly for the accessibility point of view, for those people who might not be able to see the screen, right? They can hear out the feedback that is being given by the AI physiotherapy assistant. So the main files that we have, that you can see over here, we also did try to add like a leaderboard, although we didn't really get the time to come up and build that. But like we have certain files, for example the CSS file, the image files. These are all again just for the designing and for the styling part. But essentially some of the most important ones that you would see over here, specifically that are having the data for the machine learning, right? So first of all, what you see over here is the tf.min.js. So this is like the library that we require for the TensorFlow JS, as I told you about. So like it's a pre-built library that we just have to include, right? And that is one of those things that we have to take into consideration. And then I'll quickly jump on to the one that we have specifically for, yeah. So now if you look at this one, that is the index.js. So as you can see that I have two different models, right? I have like again it's coming from model, URL2 is for lunge and URL1 is for the back bend, right? So basically whenever we have any kind of a model, right, we train any teachable machine model and we export the model, it provides us two different types of files, which is this metadata.json. Basically this is like a machine learning based model files that are created when we are using TensorFlow JS. I mean, we can probably talk about that a bit more, but this is what we are going to be utilizing. That once we build like a model, we build a pose on teachable machine. When we export that, we get two to three different files. One is like a model.json and one is the metadata.json, right? So as you can see that the code that we are having over here, again I'll give you a very short demonstration for that. So I have defined some variables like the predictions, right? My webcam, my canvas that I have. So CTX stand for the canvas, and the canvas is the place where your video stream actually starts playing. So currently as you can see that we have this kind of a confidence benchmark. This is confidence benchmark means that how accurate is the model that is being predicted, right? And then what is your current posture, right? So by default it will say that your current posture is unsure. And then since we had like only two variables, like two different types of exercises, we have just defined the two different ones. Like by default we are taking the first one, right? So once like we are done with that, we are using the TM pose, that is the teachable machine pose model dot load. So basically this loads the model from the files, specifically from the model.json, right? And then it starts to make the predictions. And once we have loaded the model, what is the next thing that we are having is that we are opening our webcam. We are setting up our webcam because it is taking into the webcam feed, and it is looking at that feed and on like taking into that into account. And creating that pose based on when like you start appearing in the camera feed. So that is why we are taking into account the webcam, and we are setting that up. And once you have set up your webcam, that is where now you'll see over here this one, right? Basically we are having these different exercises like the back bend and the lunge. Currently it's like supporting back bend and lunge. And then here you will see these prediction values, right? That based on the prediction, for example, for the first one, right, for when you're running this postnet model on the first prediction, that is for the back bend. So as you can see that we have a few classes, that either your knees are too bent, let's say your it's unsure, right? Or let's say you're having I think that, yeah, these are a few of the classes. Like for example, let's say your knees are too bent or your back is too bent. So basically, based on the kind of posture that you will be making, it will be looking at one or either these class names, right? And it will give you the class name based on the kind of pose that you are making, and that it is able to predict. And if if it is saying that okay, it's the correct posture, and if you maintain that for 10 to 15 seconds, then right, you're able to move to the next exercise. And this is where like we are also looking at this streak, because like how many different exercises you have been able to complete without without making some kind of a mistake. Because like since it's more or less related to making the correct exercises, going from one exercise to the other, as I showed you in the demo, right? We have multiple exercises, right, as you can see from this one. So we wanted to create like a streak like feature, where you start with the first exercise, you move to the next exercise, you move to the next exercise, and that is how you can create like a streak. And over here, like from this code, you can see that we also use the speech synthesis, that basically tells you that whether the posture that you're making it's correct or not. So like the assistant itself will be speaking out if we are making a correct posture or not. And then we have other different classes, whether it's like a correct bend. And as you can see over here, that hold for 10 seconds finished that particular exercise. So basically you have to correctly have a posture marked with the label that you're making a correct posture, right, correct bend, for 10 seconds, and then it moves to the next exercise, right? So like let's say once that has been completed, for example, the next exercise that we now have is the correct lunge, right? So this is how like it is basically taking into account your posture, looking at your posture and seeing if the posture that you are making is correct or not. And then this is where we are also drawing the pose. So basically these different points that you see, this is coming in from the pose, like drawing the pose, right? So this is how we are getting the pose, like we are drawing out the pose. And yeah, essentially this is about the code. And apart from that, I also just wanted to like share okay, does anyone have any questions so far?
Like, did you guys think about using ML5JS
We did.
for?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Okay.
if you feel that ML5 can also give better accuracy, like we did look at ML5, but and again, like specifically the pose one, but we felt that if we want to create a more customized poses, like Teachable Machine felt like a great option for us. But we did consider ML5 as well.
Mm.
Yeah, how did you put the audio part, like machine learning part, like you showed this example of teachable machine. It is little bit I understand, but how did you put the means audio part over there?
I guess Harshit, there is an API for that
Yeah.
in the browser as well. Like it is already there.
Yeah, it's a very common library. If you, Harshad, if you probably, if you go through the documentation on Mozilla as well, so speech recognition or like, so specifically for the speech synthesis, that is what you can definitely get on the web as well. But specifically for the speech recognition, we use the Azure, right? We use like Azure translation API as well. So we also added like support for regional languages like Hindi. So for example, if you say shuru kar, it will convert that into start. Like it will convert that, because we created like, if you say start to the system, it will start the exercise. So there are pre-built like classes and functions within JavaScript, native JavaScript supported on the browser. You can look at the MDN, that is the Mozilla documentation for the speech synthesis and for speech recognition as well. There's also like inbuilt speech recognition library or like functionality within your browser itself. So you can have a look at that as well. But yeah,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah, so essentially this is like the major, like this is the brain behind our entire project. You can go through this project again, and in case you want any kind of a, like if you have any doubt, you can go through this index.js code. But basically we utilize again, as I said, that it's essentially basic HTML, CSS and JavaScript that we utilized along with TensorFlow JS as the library. Now coming to this documentation that we have provided. So this sort of just shows you that, okay, like a small description, and then how to start utilizing it, right? Which I just explained to you, that you need to give access to your browser for microphone and camera, and you need to start exercises by either pressing the start button or by saying start exercise, right? And then try to start like your exercise. And then this is where I've just explained what exactly is TensorFlow.js. And now these are the to-do lists that we are looking for with the help of this Mexily intern, this open source program. So like some of the straight improvements that we need are adding more number of exercises, and basically making the detection algorithm that we have now, not specifically the algorithm, I would say the algorithm, but basically the mathematics or like the JS code, the JavaScript code that we are writing, so that we are able to make further better predictions. Because right now there are still times when the predictions are not 100% accurate, right? So we are willing to improve on that front. And of course, being able to improve the UI, and then improvement of the existing teachable machine models. So if required, we might even discard the current two models that we have, that is the Lunds model and the backbend, and we might just introduce completely new pose models. And as one of you said, that we can also look at ML5JS if needed. ML5JS is, for those who might not be knowing, it is a library that has been built on top of TensorFlow.js to provide even easier to understand library and functions that you can utilize to create machine learning models. And then we are requiring a huge amount of work is needed for the refactoring of the code base. Because if you look again, this was originally a hackathon project. And for those who have taken part in a hackathon, you can know that how messy the code can get. So one of the biggest ones that we require is the refactoring of our code base, and then utilizing some kind of a cloud platform to integrate speech to text or the translation APIs. And this will also give you a great idea on to get started with cloud technologies, because cloud today has become really important. And then we also have like a few new additions that we want. So the first one is like having a backend system where you can sign up and log in, and we can maintain like a database. So for example, let's say if you're doing your exercises on a day-to-day basis, you can maintain your score based on how much progress that you're making um, every day. And then having like a leaderboard system. So if we have like a leaderboard system, we can have we can further gamify our model, right, our app. That if we have like a database of users who are exercising daily, we can get like a leaderboard on top of that. And then again, like as I've already said, addition of a few other poses that we can add to include. And finally, I also thought of adding things like Socket.io, where two people at the same time can start exercising, and we can have some kind of fun way to show like a live uh, score, right, to between people. So these are some of the things that we are looking forward in this cohort of this project. So the ones that we immediately require are creating new poses models, and then obviously the biggest one is refactoring the code and improving our JavaScript code that is being utilized for the predictions and all. So, does anyone have any questions with regards to what exactly are the expectations and what we're looking forward for?
Did you host the project in the GitHub pages?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not sure why it didn't come up. It's already live, so we should be able to see it. If, is my screen visible?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the this is the live project. So you can I'll probably just add that over here. So I'll just add that in the readme, right? I'll just add the website over here. So yeah, this is the live website that we have, mexley.github.io/Aiden. So okay, yeah, yeah, this is the one. So you can also have a look at the live demo as well if you want to probably try it out yourself. But yeah, I mean, essentially, this is the application all about, right? An AI based personal assistant. And you can also look at the docs. Like, I've shared the docs over here, like, specifically the additions that we need. And again, if you want, I can also share this with everyone, right? I'll share, probably, I'll add this somewhere. I'll add this in the description if you want to see. Yeah, I'm sorry, someone was saying something. Yeah, Harshit, were you saying something?
No, no, from mistake it was open.
Okay, okay, all right. So yeah, like, first of all, how many of you feel that you might want to contribute this project? Like, how many of you are interested?
I can do the React part.
Sure, all right.
I'm in.
So anyone willing
I
to work on the back end or the machine learning part?
I'll go I'll go through the deep like the model
Yeah.
stuff.
Sure.
Well, even I'd like to work on models, creating new models, because last year I have worked on a similar project where I have created a system where it can detect hand poses of mute person. You know, the mute people cannot talk, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They make hand poses. So
Yeah.
I made a little system which can decode those hand poses.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I can work on creating a model.
Great. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
The only thing I had the problem with the model was like teachable. Like I was preparing a model for ASL, like the American
Yeah,
Scientific
yeah, yeah,
Listening.
yeah.
The issue I had was like it required that the test images were same as the images you had inputted. Like there was no tuning available for that.
Okay.
So maybe if I train the model on my images, like the postnet will identify it, I guess.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, sorry for that.
Wait, I had a little doubt. Shivay, are you using different models for different poses?
Yes. So as you saw that the first model that we had, like from the code as well, if I just go through the index.js, right. So we have two different models, right? So one is this
Yeah.
particular model. Yeah. So it's like we have created different URLs for each model that we have created.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how about we'll use one model, because I mean, for my project, how I did was I have created multiple pose models, and I have gathered all the key points, and I made a classifier model which can classify based on these key points.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, that's classification model.
Yeah. So training pay we will be using. various architectures, but because there will be various poses, and we will like just squash it down all the key points in a data set, and we will train a classifier on top of that.
But
Uh,
we will need to have like an ample amount of images for training, I guess.
yeah, I mean that is definitely a requirement because again, so within each model that we had, since we have different classes that whether your knees are too bent, so that is why that was the reason that we had separate model for each one of them. Because if I would have had like a single model, then I cannot have, let's say, where it tells you that your knees are too bent or your back is too bent or your back is correct. So that was the sole reason that we had like separate model for each exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
sure.
yeah, so that the classes that we have, those are based on the kind of posture that you're making, right? Because for example, let's say if I have an exercise, again, like it depends exercise to exercise, right? That which are like, for example, let's say in the back bend, the main focus is on your knees, that you're not bending your knees too forward, or the main back, like the main focus is on your back itself.
Mhm.
All right.
Sure.
So that makes a lot of sense. Again, a lot of you have brought up really great points. So, what the next step would be, in case you want to create your own issue as well? I have right now created three main issues because these were the major ones. So, one was the code refactoring. Then we had the addition of new teachable modules, and basically, there's a certain bug where once we transition from one exercise to the another one, there is the timed event that was giving certain errors. So I wanted someone to also look at that transition. But if you want to add your own like issue with regards to completely revamping the machine learning model, I'm good to go ahead with that as well. And I think one of you had pointed out that you wanted to start working on a React based project, right? So if you want to do that, again, you can create like a new issue, or if you want, I'll create that today. And till then, you can go through these different links, and if you run into any issue, you can tag me, or you can also reach out to me. Again, like probably I would recommend to tag me on the Discord in the public, so that if anyone has that same doubt, we can also solve that.
Mm. Seems cool.
Yeah, sure. So does anyone have any other doubts?
No, for now.
Okay.
Uh, can you open a discussion form on the Aiden project?
Okay, sure. I'll add a new discussion. So if you want, like, I'm not sure.
Settings here.
Okay. So this is where, like, I'm
Scroll
not.
down, scroll down, scroll down,
Yeah.
scroll down. No, scroll down.
Okay.
Yeah, sponsors and
Yeah.
the
Sure.
discussion here.
Sure. 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 I'll set up the discussion. All right. Great. So for now, I'll just put this up. Yeah. Sure. So I think that, yeah, I mean, we can start using this discussions tab to start discussing about the project. Yeah. Sure. So what we can do is, we can, let's say, have another follow up meeting tomorrow. Till then, feel free to go through the code again, go through the YouTube video, and check out the project yourself, try to run it. And again, you can start posting on the discussions. I'll add a few discussion topics that we had today, and based on your interest, we can start off with the contributions.
So right now we have to like poke it or like clone it.
Yeah, so first, fork it. You can also set it up locally. Again, since it's completely front end, we are not having any kind of a dependency. So you can fork it, and you can just start using it locally as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Um, can we have a discussion of about GSOC for 5 minutes?
So actually, Adi, actually, I'm running late for a meeting at 6 o'clock. What I'll do is, the meeting that I have is till 6:30, so we can connect at 6:30. You can message me. I think there is another one of you who had a doubt, so just message me. I think it's Adi and So I'll send both of you like a friend request to you, and I think that it was Ritvik who had it out.
Yeah, and even Harshit had it down.
Okay, so everyone, right? Everyone who is here, if one of you can probably create like a group, we can have a meeting at 6:30.
Okay, sure.
So I hope that I'll what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot and I'll be sending it to Adi. So Adi, like I'll have you create the group. So I'm sending you like a message with everyone's Discord IDs so you can find.
I did send the friend request. It would be better, I guess.
Well, yes.
So you can add all of us, right? So I'll jump on. Okay, sure. All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
continue.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.